today we are solving 3.4a, which is equations with variables on both sides. So just like what we did with multi-step equations, we're trying to get the letter x by itself, or p, or whatever letter we have, but this time we have more than one x. There might be variables on both sides. So it says move the variable to the side where there are more x's. It'll keep everything positive. If you don't, you will still get the same answer. You'll just have to work with negatives. So I'm going to draw my line down. Remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So we have 8x and 5x on different sides. You cannot just combine them together. You need to add or subtract an entire term from one side to the other. So I have less over here. So to move this whole thing, the whole term is positive. It's a positive 5x. So we would have to subtract 5x to get it off of this side. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 5x minus 5x eliminates. And now we have 8x minus 5x, which is 3x. So all we did was move all of our x's to the same side. Now we just have a one-step equation, and the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so we have 1x equal to now 8. If you want to check and plug it back in, you would plug it back in for both x's to see if both sides are equal, which they should be. Same thing here, we have, be careful, a negative 13p and a negative 17p. We want to move one of them so that we have the most positive x's or p's. If I move the 13p, I would add 13 here. Don't write this yet. And add 13 here, but we're going to end up with more negatives. So instead of moving the 13, I'm going to move the 17, because if I move the 17p, there are more positives in the end, because these will eliminate. And negative 13 and a positive 17, there's more positives. 17 is a bigger number. 17 minus 13 would give us 4p. So we have 19 plus 4p, because it's a positive, equal to, not 5, negative 5. We just brought that down. Now this is just a one-step or two-step equation to get p by itself. Can't get rid of the 4 yet. Remember, we're undoing our order of operations, our PEMDAS. We're going backwards. So I'm going to subtract 19. Get rid of adding and subtracting first. And we have 4p equal to negative 5 minus 19. They're all negatives. A negative 5 you can think of combined with a negative 19. Either way, they're both negative numbers. Our answer is still going to be negative, because we're just adding and subtracting. And then last, the opposite of multiply is divide. We have p equal to a negative 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Next, solve the equation. Both of these problems, we have parentheses, so we need to distribute or multiply the 8 to both numbers and the 6 to both numbers. If you want to use your box to multiply, 6 multiplied by 3x and by negative 4, you can do that. So if 6 times 3 is 18, so 18x. Some of you are subtracting here, you're really multiplying because the 6 is touching the parentheses. We're multiplying by both numbers. 6 times 4 is 24, but it's a negative. So we have 18x minus 24 equal to 12x. So we're done with all of this. Now we have x's on both sides. We need them all to be on the same side. If you want to move this smaller one, you'll end up with more positives, which is fine. You can subtract 12x. You'll just have 0 here, which is one extra step. So if you want to continue to solve this way, you will get the same answer. But if you would like to instead move the 18x and subtract 18x, either way, you will get the same answer, like I said. This way we just have negatives, but it's actually going to be one less step. Minus 24, and then 12 minus 18, there's more negatives, that's a negative 6x. And now we only have one step, whereas if we did it the other way, we'd have 2, so either way, same difference. Be careful though, some of you might want to add here, this is really touching, it's multiplied. We need to divide by this whole number, negative 6. So negative 6 over negative 6 is just 1x, or x. Two negatives multiply or divide to make a positive. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So our answer is x equals 4. Same thing on this side. I'm going to multiply without the boxes times. 8 times y is 8y. 8 times 5 is 40, but it's times a negative 5, so it's a negative 40. And then move our x's, or our y's. I like to move this smaller one to keep everything positive, because if I subtract 6y, we still have positive y's left over. Those eliminate. We have negative 18 equal to now 2y minus 40. And now this is just a two-step equation. Get rid of adding and subtracting first, just our number. I'm going to add 40. Those eliminate. We have 2y left over. Negative 18 plus 40. Different signs we're really subtracting here. Bigger number minus a smaller number. You're really doing 40 minus 18, which would give us 22. And then the opposite of multiply is divide. So we're going to divide by 2. 22 divided by 2 should give us 11. Here are a couple more. I'm going to draw my line down. Be careful when we move this 2m. This is really a negative 2m, so we need to add 2m. There wasn't any distributing on this one because we didn't have any parentheses. So we have 36 equal to now 9m. And then last, just get rid of multiplying. We're going to divide by 9. 36 divided by 9 should give us 4. This one we do have parentheses. We need to get rid of that by multiplying. If you need to draw your box to multiply, go ahead and do that. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times a negative 5 is negative 25. And then we have 5 plus x. If you want, you can put the 1 there. That's really 1x. We have x's on both sides. I'm going to move this smaller one. I'm going to move this positive one to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 1x. Remember, we're moving the entire term, so we're subtracting or adding. We are not multiplying or dividing, because if we did the opposite of multiply here, you would only move the 1 and not the x. We want to move the whole thing, and the whole thing is positive. So those eliminate. We now have 4x minus 25. So we need this x all by itself. Get rid of adding and subtracting on that side because we want this by itself. We don't want to move this 5. That won't help us get x by itself. So I'm going to add 25. Those eliminate, and we have 4x. And then 25 plus 5 more gives us 30. And then last, we need to divide by 4. So we do have not a very nice number. We are really going to get, if we plug this in our calculator, 7.5, which is okay. If you're not sure if you got a right answer, you can plug it back in for both and make sure you have the same number on both sides. Alright, I would suggest trying this one on your own and then clicking play to see if you got it right. So I have 1k on the left and 3k on the right, so I'm going to move this 1k, I'm going to subtract 1k. So those eliminate, and I have 1 equal to 2k minus 1. We want k by itself, so get rid of adding and subtracting first on this side. Add 1. 2k equal to now 2. And then the opposite of multiplying here is dividing. Divide by 2 on both sides. 2 over 2 is just really 1. So we have 1k equal to, or 1 equal to k. Last question, it says saving and spending. Currently you have you have $80 and your sister has $145. You decide to save $6 of your allowance each week. while your sister decides to spend her whole allowance plus $7 each week. How long will it be before you have as much as your sister? So we want to figure out, when do you have as much as your sister? That says sister. Goodness gracious. So right now you have $80 and your sister has $145. You are saving $6 each week, so you're going to be adding $6 every single week. But we don't know how many weeks, so we would multiply that 6 by however many weeks it's going to be. I'm going to use the letter W to represent the number of weeks. And your sister is spending $7 each week. So her bank account's going down $7 times the number of weeks that we are spending or saving money. So all we have to do is solve this. I'm going to get all the W's on the same side. This one's smaller, so I'm going to add 7W. So those eliminate. We have 145 equal to 13W and 80. So now we have all the W's together, so get rid of adding and subtracting. I'm going to subtract 80. So we have 13W equal to 65. And then the opposite of multiply is divide by 13. So if you don't know what 65 divided by 13 is, just use your calculator. If I plug that in, you should get a nice 5. So after 5 weeks, you and your sister will have